Well, welcome back to my channel, everybody. This is Lolo, yours truly, and we have a special guest on a special show for all the men out there. Let me start off by saying, guys, I want to tell you something that a little personal about myself. Um, the word is demasculizing. I've seen all over the internet, all over YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, MySpace, all those places. Yes, MySpace too, where men have been taken advantage of by women. Now, it might sound strange because you always hear in court right now, the former president is going through some of the same situation where men has been accused of, and some men are guilty of taking advantage of women. But did you know that men out there just as much and even probably more being taken advantage of by women and not women being taken advantage of by men, in the sense of some men are simply being paraded in front of their wives, fiancés, girlfriends, common law wives, friends, family members, jobs. Brothers are losing their jobs. Brothers are getting kicked out of self-defense school because women are lying on them. Brothers are getting kicked out of church. Brothers have been taken out of leadership. We're going to talk about some of this demasculizing of men by women tonight. Now, guys, let me explain something to you. This is a very, very sensitive topic for myself. Um, I can only say sincerely that I believe the forces that be, God Almighty, intervened on my behalf. Because, as I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, that I take full responsibility as the male, because this society today says the male figure, the man, is the head, and the man is responsible under the Bible. That is our society. So yes, I say I take advantage of my past relationship. I say I am the one who got involved with a terrible situation by being an overman in my home and creating or allowing to be created a toxic relationship where I was sorry about what I did, sorry about what happened. And eventually I got to a point where I was literally being dogged. And today I see my sons being dogged in the same way. And it is something that I know personally and take personally, and it hurts. It bothers me. So this show tonight is to reach out to all my fan bases. And I hope those who are prone to become fans will come over here and watch the show. And if you have something to say, we're going to do this in 4 parts. Tonight is part 1. And I have a special guest for you. He is a man of over 5 years of common law marriage. Down in the Bahamas, when you live together for that long, for 5 years or more, we call it common law marriage. Okay? Um, he's now presently married, father of 3. And I'm going to let him tell you about his marriage. He's happy, his relationship, very respectful. His wife's been respectful to him. And we're gonna cover some stuff that's gonna be very, very sensitive. It's gonna touch home for most men. So first, I want to introduce second-degree black belt, Sensei Prime, none other than AKA Steph. Welcome
Hey,
to Kitchen Table Talk at Lolo's. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing amazing, King. It is an honor to be here with you. I first of all want to say thank you very much for the invite. Uh, the minute I saw it and heard what you were doing, I was like, wow, this is epic. And so to be here, it's an honor. I want to say thank you very much. Thanks for such an amazing introduction. And I feel like this show is gonna be fire. This is gonna like you say, hit home for many. It's gonna be very touching. It's gonna mash some corn, we call it. So it's gonna
Yes.
ruffle some feathers,
Yes.
but that's not what it's about. Like we're not doing this to send out any negative vibrations. It's simply because we want to help heal those that are experiencing some of the things that both yourself and myself experienced in our lives. You are currently married and in a beautiful relationship with your wife and the rest of the family. So am I. And but before that, the road was really rough. And like you say, we're gonna do it in four parts. Tonight being the first one. And I just really hope that we bring a lot of value to those that are listening in, that are watching. And I hope that we can get this out to as many people as we possibly can.
Yes.
So with that being said, I know you started introducing me. You said some things. Yes, I was in a common law marriage situation back home in the Bahamas. I currently live in the United States of America. I'm married with three kids. Happily married, have a beautiful family, two boys, one girl. It's our family is the perfect blend. Honestly, it is. We have a his, a hers, and a ours, we call it. And it's just been it's been nothing short of amazing. It's been very interesting because it was something we both had to get used to, being parents of our own kid, and then bringing them together and 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 creating our own family, you know. But this is definitely a beautiful opportunity. It's a nice I'm super excited for us to do this. Like I said, because I feel like we can really, really, really tap into something huge here and help heal
Right.
more than anything. So
Awesome. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you for that. Now, I've relocated here to the United States in 1991, only after calling my mother one day late for her birthday. And for the second time in my life, at age 31, hearing my mother on the phone crying. And I says, "Woman, what's wrong? What happened? What's wrong with you?" My wife's my mother's a very strong woman. And so she says, "He tried to kill me." I'm like, "Who?" And she called my stepfather's name. I said, "Hell no." I hung up the phone and I was in New York, took a Delta flight. I think it left at 2:15, 2:30, somewhere around there. Well, 5 p.m., I was at LaGuardia Airport, New York City, August 5th, 1991. My mother's birthday was August 3rd. I called her August 4th. I was in New York August 5th. Now, I stopped there at the end, Alpha Omega. We're going to go back to Alpha, but that was more or less the end of my torture. Um, I was asked to leave my own home. I was asked to leave my own home. You better go. I'm gonna kill you. If I don't kill you, I'm gonna have someone kill you.
Wow.
Well, my question to you is, were you ever in that position to have your significant other ask you to leave the home or she was gonna bring harm to you?
Not so much in those words, but based on the actions that were taking place,
Huh?
I felt uncomfortable to the point where I was like, I think I I think I should leave because I wasn't asked to leave. I came home one day and met every single thing I own in the front yard. I think I mean I can laugh about it now, you know, I can laugh about it now, but back then, so I came home from work and I'm walking up into the yard and I'm walking past these things in the yard and I'm like, wow, the dogs just rip the stuff of garbage apart and just have everything all over the place. And as I continue to walk closer to the house, and I'm like, oh, I think that's my shoes, or that's my shirt, oh, oh, that's my books, and those are my certificates. And I'm like, what is going on? And at this time, we were rooming up. We call it roommates. We have roommates. So my girlfriend and I, and my brother from another mother and his girlfriend, we were living together in a place as two couples. Him knowing my temperament, he was afraid, and so he stood outside to welcome me
Wow.
and kind of soften the blow, if I could use that for a lack of better word, soften the blow and help me understand what was going on before I got inside, because he was there. And whatever was going on before I got there, he was able to see it firsthand and hear what was happening from my girlfriend. And so when I walk inside, when I walk up and I saw him, he asked me what's going on. And I said, like, what? I just got off, just like I got off yesterday and I'm home just like I came home yesterday. Like this is just another day for me. I'm just going through the motions. The only difference is everything that I own, I see is outside in the yard. So I don't really know what's going on. And so I went inside and I sat down in the front room and I have this routine that I would do when I get home. I just kind of cool out, came home, took a shower, and just went in the kitchen, got something to eat, sat down in the front room, turned on the TV, and just watch the TV, eat my food, have a little drink to just relax. And he was sitting there looking at me the whole time. And I'm just relaxed. I'm just chilling. And I'm hearing the commotion going on, and this is mountains talking and crying and screaming and all these different things. And my girlfriend apparently was in the room. She was on the phone talking to my mother, but I didn't know this yet. And she was explaining to her and expressing to her what was going on and how she feel and I guess she told my mom that she tossed all my stuff out the place in the yard. Uh, Originally the place was hers, so I moved in with her. Uh, I was helping because we lived together, and so I was all on my own. I was helping with bills and things like that. But ultimately, the place was hers. It was in her name,
Right.
and so I guess she figured, hey, I'm kicking you out, or you gotta get out of my place. And so I was like, I didn't say anything. I just went. I just, like I say, was watching TV at the time and just relaxing. And I saw she walk out of the room with the phone in her hand, and she's like, here. And so I look at the phone and I'm like, who is this? She's like, it's your mom. She want to talk to you. So I'm jumped on the phone and said, hello. My mom was like, son, how you doing? I said, I'm okay. She's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. So she starts to tell me what was happening, what was explained to her over the phone. Apparently, at the time, I was being accused of sleeping with another woman. And this woman worked along with her.
Mm.
And honestly, when she did that, or when I was being accused at this time, it really wasn't so. Not at this time. It really wasn't so. Uh, and so I just was like, I'm not gonna feed this. I'm not gonna give it any. I'm just not gonna do that. I'm not gonna even get into it. But yeah, that's what was going on, and it kind of pissed her off because she found a message in my phone and from another person, and I'm like, I can't control what someone say to me. I can only control how I respond. And I'm like, didn't you see I didn't answer or I never responded in any way? And so it just went where I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't even know where my passport is. I'm on the phone talking like, I don't even know what my passport is. I don't know what's going on. And so she came out of the room with my passport. So at that time, I'm like, okay, at least she didn't toss my passport outside. Uh, But it started to rain that evening. And so everything that I owned at the time that was outside got wet and it was destroyed in the rain. Uh, I was still just relaxed and chill about it. Fell asleep inside in the couch in the front room. And I was working at Four Seasons at the time back in the Bahamas. And I went and I said, you know what? The next day I went to the office and I asked them to assist me with getting a room at the employee housing. And so I went and I got a room at the employee housing. And I had that room there for me because clearly I was being kicked out. Uh after my girlfriend kind of cooled down and we spoke about it, she decided, she's like, come home, let work it out, let's talk about it, let's cool. I was like, I'm cool and we're cool, it's okay, everything's cool. However, I'm not gonna put myself in that position anymore for you to just toss me out or toss my stuff out. And it's like you're trying to embarrass me in the front of people. Uh, my we call it brethren. My brethren was there with me. His girlfriend was there. She was like I'm talking. She was like she didn't know what to do because it's an embarrassing situation.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
My question is, how did you feel when it actually hit home and you realized that, oh, they're my stuff. What's going on is I have to deal with something abnormal because this is not normal. I'm coming home to what was going through your mind? How were you feeling? I mean, I know some men would have just gotten emotional and walked to their safe and thumbprint and click click, and you were already you were a guy in self-defense from you were a kid, man. You could snap like a twig. What was going through your mind?
I will tell you this much. A lot of a lot of emotions, so many things went through my mind. Uh, so many conversations with myself
Mhm.
on the walk to the door. It all it all started and ended from the parking lot to the minute I actually stepped foot inside the door.
Or in the house.
I had already made my decision. So from I crossed that threshold and I went into that home, I had already made my decision. And the decision I made was I'm just going to walk away. But before I made that decision, I already, honestly, I already committed so many crimes in my head with my physical hands. Uh, I was already incarcerated. I was already on the run. I I I had already seen my family crying for me. I had already seen funerals taking place. I went into a rage. I calmed down. Uh, I lost my mind. I came back and and I had to bring myself to a level of calm where whereby I could be a free man and and I don't do something that I probably regret. And so with so much thoughts going through my mind, I just made one decision. There's this movie that's called Heat, Robert De Niro and I think Al Pacino.
Al Pacino, Val Kilmer. One of my most
And
favorite action movies.
well, there's a part in there, and I may not be saying it verbatim, but there's a part in there that I live by. N never be in a situation or never put yourself in a situation, and it's like I say, it
Scared
may
to
not be
walk. Yeah.
verbatim, where you cannot walk away within
Wait.
60 seconds.
60 seconds.
And so I live by that. From then, even up to right now, I make a lot of my decisions within 60 seconds.
Mm.
And so because of that movie, I made that decision within 60 seconds of walking to that door, and that saved my life.
Alpha, Omega, beginning and end. You saw the end. You pondered everything in between.
Hmm. Yep, everything. It was wild.
You know, one of the great artists of our time, of my time, I'm not sure what he did to put himself in a position for his spouse to have such anger and such rage in her and to respond to whatever had happened the way she did. Um, you said you got a room
Hmm.
and you walked away. If Al Green had acknowledged and he had walked away, he may not have gotten scored with that hard grits. I know he's Reverend Al Green now in a church somewhere, and I don't mean bringing that up. I hope it's okay even for me to mention it in this show on this channel, but using him as an example, using myself as an example, I was pulled away. I was pulled away. A marriage of 14 years, the last 3 years of the 14, I actually spent time taking care of my mom who was hurt. And I wouldn't go to the extreme to say that I believe I was the fault of that, but I knew in my mind I needed to escape the demasculizing of myself by my ex. I say that boldly now because at one point I felt so low, I felt less than a man. And if I had used the 60 seconds instead of the 60 days or the 60 weeks or the 60 months, when I first noticed that because of my actions, which were assumed that weren't even true, because of my actions that were assumed and weren't true, that brought on all of the mistreatment if I had walked away then. But because I thought about what people would think, what people would say, and I stood there and I stuck it out for 11 years.
Wow.
Some 9 years after that, the situation happened about a year, year and a half into my marriage. And staying in it for that length of time, when I did harden my heart to begin divorce proceedings, I received divorce papers in the mail. I signed them and sent them back. But if I hadn't walked away, even in the end, who knows what might have happened?
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when you walked away? Where were you in your mind when you walked away? Did you, like Neville Goddard talks about, Neville says, the judge has the same mind as the criminal. The rich man has the same mind as the poor man is sleeping under the bridge. It's the rearrangement of one's mind determines the outcome in every situation. Where were you? What were you thinking at that time?
So many things. And I start off by saying this. The woman that I am with today, which is my current wife, I met at age 13.
Okay.
We were good friends. We were best friends. I fell in love with her,
Okay.
not her falling in love with me. I fell in love with her. And I realized that, excuse me, because I loved her so much, I never allowed any of my past relationships. I never gave it the full, I never gave it all of me because I always loved her in hopes that one day she would give me that chance.
Mm-hmm.
And and she always saw me as a friend, never anything more. And we never, we never ever crossed the line, ever growing up as friends, ever. I felt betrayed because I used to tell my past girlfriends that, and I was very wrong now that I'm thinking back on it. I was very wrong. I used to tell them that the lady I'm with right now, I used to tell them that that's my true love. And eventually I'm going to end up with her. And so that was wrong because I was damaging my relationships. I was making these females really, I was making them feel uncomfortable. And so my relationships never really lasted longer than a particular period of time. And to me, honestly, it really didn't matter because to me, I'm like, me and her gonna end up together anyway. So if you last a year, you just took up space for a year, you taking me closer to this lady that I'm in love with anyhow. Uh, but in this particular relationship, I didn't do that. I never mentioned this lady's name, my friend name. I never mentioned her. I never, I never allowed that to come in this relationship because I said to myself, this is the one relationship I'm going to give my all, and I'm going to give this woman the opportunity to have all of me. You know, we all have our preferences, and one of them, you know, for whatever reason, and I do believe it because it was because of me growing up under my uncle. My uncle was attracted to women that were fair skin. We call them yellow skin.
On a mango
Eh,
skin.
yeah, mango skin, yellow bone.
Yeah.
Say juicy mango bited, juicy. And so I
Yeah.
was always attracted to that type of appearance.
Okay.
Well, this time I was dealing with a blackberry, a dark woman, you know, a dark skinned woman. I was like, yeah, this is different. I'm giving this my all. I'm going against the grain. Because I want to make sure that this works. I don't
Right.
want to shortchange myself, and I'm not going to shortchange this relationship. And so, because I did that and I made that decision, I felt betrayed, and I was questioning myself for the longest. I'm like, what did you do wrong? Because you did everything right and you did everything differently. You didn't allow this particular relationship to be like any other relationship in the past, but still you failed.
Mm.
I questioned myself over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And I just kept looking for the answers, looking for the answers. So I felt lost,
Mm.
trying to figure out where did I go wrong, you know? And it took me years to figure it out. And I'll be honest with you, I did. I went back. I went back with this lady, and she and I we had a child together. She is the mother of my oldest son.
Mm-hmm.
She's a beautiful being. And we're not talking about physical appearance. I'm talking about the spiritual being, the being that she is. She's a beautiful being. She's a wonderful mom to our son. She's a good friend. We're still good friends to this day. We have
Mm-hmm.
a very solid relationship. We cool. My wife and her, they cool. They talk. You know, the friends. Like, so life. You know, we did a lot of growing,
Okay.
but at that time, it was painful. I felt I was ripped apart,
Mm.
honestly. And I was just thinking like, I don't even know what to do. I felt empty, honestly.
So how long did the abuse took place? Was it throughout the relationship? Was it from inception because she was jealous? What would you say? What would you say it was? When did you notice this, and how long do you believe it lasts?
It honestly, see, my situation is it's kind of unique because it's like it's not, this isn't the type, it's not her behavior. It wasn't her behavior. It wasn't like she was mistreating me on a consistent basis. It wasn't like she was doing this. It just like, it's like that happened and it caused her to just do that. And there were words that were said, there were actions that took place. And and honestly, I would say it went on for years in terms of the way she view me as a person. Uh, and she never continuously like disrespect me and do those things like that. But the way I was, like, if I say something, like I say, this is what I want to do for our son, like it would have been like, yeah, yeah, how many times I'm gonna hear that? Or like, I say, hey, like things, I'm kind of going through a rough spot right now. I'm gonna, take this. He's like, yeah, yeah. So it's almost like my words was falling on deaf ears. She really didn't care about what I had to say. Uh, and it went on for a couple of years. It wasn't directly happening with me because we had already separated too, you know? So it wasn't directly happening because I decided to leave. I was
Mm.
like, I can't take this. I went back and I went back and I went back and I kept trying to make it work, but it just wasn't working because it kept happening. So it wasn't happening so often, whereas, because we weren't always in that relationship together, but the times when we were together, it was happening. And I'm like, it would be these rocky ups and downs, up and ups and downs, ups and downs. And when it's up and it's good. And then when it's down, it's like, and she's saying things like that to me. And I'm like, wow. So I had to take a stand. And I think it was when my son was around 5 years old, or between 5 and 7 years old, I decided I was like, you know what? I can't take this anymore. I gotta go. I just left. And go ahead.
Did any of you ever call the police or involve the law with what was going on with her?
Never. It never got to that. It never got that heated. If ever I got upset or angry, she kind of would kind of calm down. Whenever she got irate and angry, I just would calm down. It never got physical, uh, where she physically abused me. I can remember a time that she went to attack me, and I think I like stretch out to stop her, and I end up like grabbing her by her neck to stop her from doing something. And honestly, at that moment, like my good friend of mine who was there, he just like, yo, and he just like, because he thought I was gonna like, it was gonna be like a continuous amount of blows coming, but it was just a stop. And that literally was any physical thing. That was it.
Yeah,
That
because
was that was it.
the reason why I asked, because you are you're second degree black belt. You
Yeah,
could take on 4, 6 guys like that.
easily.
Um, on a humorous side, I remember Fluffy, 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 Fluffy. One of my most favorite comedians. He says that when an argument stopped between him and his wife, she stops right away. If he grabs her, I think he said he grabbed a pen and paper, something like that. He said because she knows whatever she says in the argument, he's gonna talk about it on stage. It's jokes. You gotta go and watch Fluffy, man. This guy's one of my most favorite comedians, man.
Yeah.
He's Hispanic, but he's one of the best. I love his stuff. I don't get to see him in person. I wish I'd get to see one of his shows in person. But I watched him on TV. He's awesome.
Hmm.
But I said that to say this because I'm quite sure she probably wouldn't want to physically confront you because
Probably
of how
no.
physical you
Mhm.
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I'm glad of that too, because some relationships can get out of hand,
Yeah.
which leads me to my next question.
Hmm.
Why do you think society today do not take it serious when a man say he's being abused by his wife or a woman? And why do the men always get blamed, whether right or wrong? Look at the young actor, the young Marvel actor here, Marvel, yeah, the young actor. I kind of his name slipped my, but look, I mean, it's like the courts say he is guilty. I saw the video. The mom was running away. Why do you think or believe society do not take the abusing of men by women, their spouse, their girlfriend, their wives, people they're dating? Why don't they take it serious?
I would coming from the Bahamas,
Okay.
coming from the Bahamas, I would say that over the years, the the culture was developed where a man should be a man. A man should take care of everything. A man should be the one to take on the load of everything.
Mhm.
And it's very difficult to separate one thing from the next because in life, nothing is actually separated.
Mhm.
Everything is all the same,
Right.
everything is one. And so it's almost hard to say that the man should take on everything, but say the man shouldn't take on the blame.
Now I know in the Bahamas, um, I was a part of the police band. I wasn't. I wasn't. I was a police officer writing tickets to all that stuff and going out there. But I know this much that I can remember: if a man is with his wife and his wife goes to the law and says, "My husband raped me," in the Bahamas, that's, that's your husband. We can't charge him with rape. Y'all live in the
Right.
same house. You live in the same house. You can't
Yeah.
charge him with rape. Over
No.
here, over here in the United States, buddy, you're going to jail.
Wow.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Wow. Wow.
The dude can have a black eye, broke hand, limping on one foot. He's still going to jail. She can be the makeup on, prom up, and everything. Mhm. No, he got to jail. But in the Bahamas, a man can't rape his wife. Now, I don't know if that law has changed now
Hmm.
today in 2024, but there is a difference in society and the roles. And I notice the Western world is quickly conforming to the United States law
Hmm.
because of, should I say, a democracy outreach. Though the Bahamas is a Commonwealth nation,
Hmm.
because we have some laws on the books that anywhere in the sun they can exist here, according to Penal Code Chapter 48. They ain't no way they're going to exist here, and it's not really even Western law. It's laws of the Bahamas. It's the Bible country.
Yes. Yes. Super religious, and it's that's what it is. And that's what it is. And so it's crazy. It's crazy. I believe that a lot of individuals that are in higher places that
Mhm.
have something to do with the agenda, designed the laws to put the woman above the men. And I would say this, before last year or 2 years ago, uh, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas was being ultimately ruled by the Queen. Now, if we have a woman in charge, then women are in charge. I don't have to say anything else after that. If a woman is in charge, then women are in charge. And so, and it kind of just trickled into everything. So the guys, it's a woman's world in the Bahamas. It's a woman's world in the Bahamas. The kids, the women can do whatever. They take the kids. It doesn't matter. The guys, we have to fight for the kids. The woman could be a drop dead addict on something, whatever. If that woman goes to the court and says we have her kids, somebody, the police will pull up to wherever you are. The police will pull up to your business establishment that you own and take those kids from you and carry them in a trashy area to a place we would call a clapboard home, which is just a very rundown wooden structure with possibly an outside toilet and no current electricity. They would take your kids from out of your possession and carry them to that woman, even if she's living in that condition. And you have to fight in court. And you have to prove to them why you are in a better financial and stable position than that lady. When Stevie Wonder could see that you just took those kids and put them in a very
That was your
bad state. Yeah, man, that's not good. And that's just what we were faced with, still is in the Bahamas. And it's sad, but it's the agenda that they push. And that's why I feel it is that way.
an agenda. So
Yeah.
it's bringing me to my last question.
Hmm.
Um, Before I ask this last question, viewers, this is Kitchen Table Talk at Lolo's. And if you want to share your story, if you have something to share with the world, you believe you can help a family, you believe you may be able to save a brother's life, a sister's life, text conversation to 470-382-9632. Again, that number is 470-382-9632. Text the word conversation. Someone will get back to you and will set you up for a show. We're here with none other than Sensei Prime, aka Coach Prime, all the way from Nassau, Bahamas, now residing in the United States and the Bahamas. We'll tell you a little bit about his business at the very end. But my last question, what advice would you give to men, specifically the young men who are getting married today? Specifically, the young men who are getting married today, who were brought up in AKA broken homes, a home with a single mom by herself being abused by men that he may have witnessed, a single father by himself whom had multiple female partners, and the boy or the girl grew up into a young woman or a young man and got married. I'm talking about those who don't last 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. On our next segment, we're going to share some of these statistics. But wrapping up this segment, with Sensei Prime. I want to hear Sensei Prime's advice to young men who would encounter this type of behavior from women, because we want to get to the bottom of why society does not accept women abusing men and not believing that women can be at fault also. Sensei Prime.
So I want to say to every young man out there, any man, period, that is growing through situations like this, similar or maybe even the same, I wanna send a message stating that everything in life, and it took me years to learn this, everything in life starts out with self. Everything in life, if it's meant to be, it's up to me.
Mm,
Everything in life.
like that.
There is no outside thing that can control me, neither you or anyone in that fact. And because I learned that and I have an understanding of that, my advice is to understand, guys, body parts are body parts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The male genitals and the female body parts, it's not going to change. It is the same. You can switch through 1,000 of them. It's going to be the same. Be true to yourself. Try not to share yourself with too many women, because you're kind of filling up your spiritual home, which is yourself, with a lot of challenges you're going to be faced with. And so if you're experiencing these type of things, before you even get married, whilst being in a relationship, first work on yourself. Try not to make any excuses. But if you are seeing certain things in your relationship, or if you're already married and you're seeing some of these things in your marriage, that means that you are unequally yoked. The key is to become equally yoked. Now, I cannot make you do something and you cannot make me do something. However, what I can do is work on myself. I can change. I can become who I need to be, and I can encourage my partner to do the same. My challenge to you guys is, if you took the opportunity and you invested the time into yourself and you are growing, and your partner is not growing, make a decision. Make a decision. Walk away. Don't stay because of pleasurable moments and things that's keeping you, giving you a high. Because after that's gone, you're faced with the reality of the relationship, of this next being that is belittling you, that is tearing you down, that's not building you up. Become more from within, so that you don't have to be looking for any validation from on the outside. Validate yourself. Okay? Become who you need to become from within yourself, and then challenge your partner to do the same. And if they don't, you don't have to stay. Leave, because if you go on to the next level being unequally yoked, you're gonna be faced with a whole lot of challenges, and it's gonna be hard, and it's not necessarily gonna fail, but the chances of that relationship not working is gonna be like an 80-20. And for that reason, I'm like, just work on self and encourage your partner to do the same thing. That would be my advice. Become become that person that you would want to have in your life. If you want to have someone that's loving and caring and respectful, that's not going to put their hands on you, that's not going to verbally abuse you, that's not going to be sneaking around, that's not going to be, doing any of these negative things to you, become that person that's loving towards your woman, that's going to respect your woman, that's not going to put your hands on that woman, that's not going to belittle her and take her from a place where she should be lifted up, and don't just do all of the things to her that you want to be done to you, which takes us right back to the Bible. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It's so simple. And I believe that once you do that, everything will be okay.
I remember Mama used to say prevention is better than curing.
Yeah.
If you want to finish the race, you got to practice for the run. You got to
Mm-hmm.
practice.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't practice, you ain't gonna finish the marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Sensei Prime, I
What's
want
up?
to thank you for being on Kitchen Table Talk.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to you returning with the other guests for part two of this. And I want to end this portion by repeating your words. And the words that you said, simply this. You said, if it's meant to be, it's up to me.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much for having me on the call.